All right, welcome back, 6-4 Families. This is our final tracking. I'm going to be doing two different hats today. My first hat is going to be Mr. Hagedorn's hat and talked about what's going to happen in math next week. In math next week, the spiral review for week one is due on Tuesday. They will continue talking about adding and subtracting negative numbers. And then near the end of the week, they're going to start talking about writing and graphing inequalities with variables. That sounds very exciting. However, in science, this week in science, we rolled right back into it, starting talking about food change, which is kind of a review of different fourth and fifth grade standards that should have been taught from the kids. So a lot of the kids had a really good grasp of what different parts of a food chain, what was important, what was not important, how does energy flow through a food chain. And then we ended this week with two things that are relatively new to students, which is called dormancy and tropisms. Dormancy is why those trees lose their leaves in the fall, and also why that grass goes brown, and then suddenly in the spring, leaves are coming back and the grass is turning green. What we're going to do next week, though, we're going to combine the dormancy and tropisms into creating a super plant in our Hunger Games activity that we'll cover Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Students will be making a super plant and bringing that plant into the arena and seeing how well their plant competes against other students' plants. And we'll see who made the best super plant. And then at the end of the week, we're going to get into the final part of the ecosystem unit with biomes. Biomes were covered in elementary school, but in sixth grade, we focus on the biotic and abiotic factors that limit and control the plants and animals that can live there. So that's where we're headed from this week to next week. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Pedersen for ELA.
Hi, 6-4 families. Hope you all had a great track out. This week in ELA, we started our study of Module 4, which is analyzing the effects of DDT. And we also started reading our fourth quarter whole class novel, which is called Frightful's Mountains. So we took our first assessment on that today, and we'll continue reading and learning more about the effects of DDT and reading about Frightful's journey in this book as we progress into next week. You should have received a letter from me this week regarding selections for novel choices for fourth quarter. So please ask your child about the letter for the Literature Circle novel selections. I'm asking that you please approve their choice for the novel, and we need to have the novels in class in our possession starting on May 6th. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to email me and let me know. Have a great weekend.
All right, my friends, a little social studies. By the way, happy Earth Day. Got my Earth Day tie on. And a little bit about what we did in social studies this week, which was an exciting week that culminated today, and what we will be doing going forward. So we've been talking about social structures, and this week predominantly we've been talking about the Egyptian social structure, the Japanese the caste system in India, the Japanese feudal system, and the Roman Republic social class. And students were assigned levels of those social structures. And this week we researched those and kind of understood a little bit about how that person would feel and what would happen to them in that social structure. Were they towards the bottom of that social structure and maybe had to do a lot of heavy labor type of work and maybe felt bad about it? Were they at the top of the social structure and maybe felt like they had more advantages in their life? And then they wrote a historic narrative, or what we called a bio poem, which was basically just them telling a story about their life as that character. And then today we had our dinner party. And so what we had today was all of the tables had tablecloths on them, and a few of you were kind enough to donate little Capri Suns and seafood medleys. We call them seafood medleys from the Pepperidge Farms. And we had a little snack and we talked about our social structures. And so each student read a little bit about their social structure, and the tables were mixed. So it might have been the Japanese emperor sitting next to an Indian Sudra, or it might be a Dalit in the Indian social structure sitting next to a Brahmin or something like that. So they had to talk a little bit and read and share and talk about who would be more powerful at their table and who would be less powerful. And it was a great discussion. We had a lot of fun. Now, next week, we will move on into the decline of civilization. We'll be talking about the fall of Rome and some of the massive falls in history, and that will be about a 2-week unit about the decline of civilization, why civilizations tend to fall, and then we will end our school year with a kind of in-depth look at the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and the Reformation. So that's where we're going in social studies. Hopefully you had a lovely week coming back, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.